Hello. Welcome to Tier 3. And what a beautiful day. Hope it's sunny where you are. I'm just going to make my tea. And everyone's all right. Now, we're kind of all still working from home. Just to let you know, my neighbours are having a lot of building work done, and it might get a bit noisy. But that makes it real. That proves that I'm not on a set. This genuinely is my kitchen. Anyway, overall, I've got a question. We're going to talk about the office. What's the office going to look like if we do ever get back? That's what we're going to talk about today. But I've got a question. Because it's such a beautiful day out there, my question today is, what is England's record temperature for Easter Sunday? England's record temperature for Easter Sunday. I like it in degrees, please. Not like 79, 82, whatever. So degrees centigrade. That's what I'm after. Record temperature. Easter Sunday record temperature. That's what we're going for. So anyone want to type their answer in? 28. It's quite high. Could be 28. Who knows? It could be a point as well. You know. It's never 28, is it? It's always got a 0.1 or a 0.7 or something. Anyway, so I'm going to be that exact. Right, that's good. I've got a biscuit as well. I've got a little Viennese swirl. It's quite nice. Got a posh biscuit actually today I've gone for. But that's what we're going for. 24.7. That's very good. 29.5, enough to melt chocolate. Wowzers, 28.1. You'll be gutted if it's 27.9. How gutted will you be, Clark? It's 29.5 in 8. Can Easter be in May? I don't know if Easter can be in May. Not sure if it can. It can definitely be in April. It can definitely be on my birthday. But it's very early this year. April the 2nd. Anyway, I'll let us know. We're guessing. All those guesses. Right, okay, so what are we going to talk about? If there is something that's good that's come out of the whole scenario we found ourselves in, I was reading an article and it said the power of the place. The power of the place has become really important. A guy called Sam Sarney mentioned that phrase. So we aren't, as humans, wired to avoid humans. That's not what we're set out to do. So we are very keen to be in and amongst people. So we've started to recognise the power of the place. Now, what have we learned to include? Well, there has to be a balance, more of a balance now, between quite a few work modes. And this is going to impact perhaps what an office looks like going forward as well. So there's kind of different things that we do at work. So there's that work element. And there's what we kind of say is the routine work, the stuff that always just goes on. And there's also sometimes things like focused work. So there's that little split of routine work and also focused work. And that could be meetings, that could be presentations, that could be intense concentration, that kind of work. But routine and focus, yeah. There's also the social aspect at work, which is also key. And there's also a learning aspect to work. So all those things. So you could argue there's 3 or 4, and when I talk about what perhaps an office might look like going forward, we'll pick all of those. And so we have to consider where they're going to happen and what we need to consider coming into those things. So one of the big things, and I'll just flag this early, we talk about health and safety, I think, and well-being. So health and safety and well-being of the people and of the office itself. And bizarrely, we probably had that. We had that at work a little bit, and then when we came out of work, we maybe had that less, and we started focusing a lot on the well-being. But if you think about what you've got like hooked up at home, how many plugs are being used, and yet an extension has about 78 labels on it before you could use it at work. So health and safety has kind of come to the forefront. And I think, what I spoke about last week was about how do people want to work, and some people want to work at home and in an office. So we've got to do probably a little bit better there. We certainly need that to be a lot better equipped from a health and safety point of view. And also, I think we'll be back on that more probably at work, more about the well-being of people. I think that'll be important. Now, Once we get in there, we've got to think about things like the non-work connection. Um, so it's important that we still have social time at work. Um, it kind of can often be that social time means that we learn quite effectively as well. So when I said that there was a kind of work routine and focus, there was social and learning. Funnily enough, all of those three things kind of link. And in my business, we've kind of done a lot of that kind of stuff to try and keep that up to date. We've had online pizza parties. We've tried to do walking meetings. So these are the kind of things that we're trying to do, non-work connections, but they're important. Now, when we're back in the office, we sometimes take those for granted, but we're either going to have to set up the right environment for them or perhaps force them like we did with a pizza party. Better structures, I think, has happened. It's focused us a little bit on remote, about catch-ups and things like that. And I did mention this before, that thing around the split between work and home. The lines are quite blurred at the moment. And I think one of the things that we could do when we go back into work is a lot of people used to have like morning meetings, first thing, early morning meetings, right, where are we going to go? And I think it'd be really good if we kind of did a close of play meet. So ready for the next day. And also it would line off work. So rather than a first thing, let's get going, more of a close of play, so an end of day meeting. And then that allows people then to go home and do that social side of it, which I do think is pretty important. Yeah, that's good. Better structure. Yeah, balance between work, got those things. So what about our office? Has it changed? I think the office was always evolving and changing. I think about, when I first started work, what an office looked like, and, senior people very definitely had offices. And then we all went to very little, like partitioned off booths that we used to work out of. And then we went into complete open plan, all that kind of stuff. So what the pandemic has done is probably hastened those things. And that's where some kind of office providers are going to kind of leap to the fore a little bit. But I said about what's work there for. And I think the first thing, we need a space to work and a space to be productive. And that can either be alone or as a team, but we need some kind of productive workspace. Second thing we need a space to interact and socialize. And we actively need to set that up. I don't think all offices had that set up before. A bar, a kitchen, that was it. But that wasn't a dedicated space to socialise. That was just a space that people did socialise in, and also a space to learn. And again, this isn't. I have worked in some organisations where they have a learning zone, but that's not a really regular thing. But I think there will be that craving if people are going in. That's what they're going to want to do. Of course, we can work from home, and we work well from home. We've learned to adapt and adjust, but we're better together. Zoom's good, or Teams or other platforms are available, but we are generally better together. So let's configure the office to collaborate. So I said, years ago, like 80s, 90s, everybody would work like in a little pen. Some of those things you sometimes see in American comedies, where everybody's working in a little pen. But even think about how the desks are configured. And I like a lot of people, have probably watched far too much on TV. And I was watching a kind of a crime drama. And the guy who was leading the investigation said, I've reconfigured the desks. And what he'd done was he turned all the desks in to face everybody. The actor was Stephen Graham, but I can't remember the name of the show I was watching. But he got everybody to turn the desks in so they could all see and speak and share together. And I think that's a fairly important thing to do. So get that right. Other things like perhaps work libraries, so open and closed space. So we can have a library where kind of library conditions exist. And I'm not talking about libraries for learning, I'm talking about libraries for working. So, in that silence thing. And we could use those for clients as well, that kind of stuff, because I think it's important that the office exists so clients can come into it as well. Now, the social office becomes quite a crucial thing. It builds trust and it builds friendship. And trust remains one of the absolute keys to a manager-subordinate relationship. but I think it builds in effective teams. You know, if you look at solid teams model like the 5 dysfunctions from Lencioni, the very base of that is absence of trust. So for a team to function really effectively, it needs trust. Now, yes, of course, we can have a kitchen. That's still going to work. But what we need is maybe some breakout space. We maybe need some lounge areas where people can actually just go and socialise. And again, I've seen some of these things. They kind of develop them a little bit alongside learning spaces. So there's comfy seats, there's bean bags, but pool tables, football tables, that kind of thing. That's the kind of thing where we want to actively engage social. We know it's important because a lot of us have been proactively trying to do it while we've been in this situation, saying, right, I'm going to do this, I'm going to catch up with this person, I'm going to afford myself this time. And if you're not doing that, it's worth doing it. 20, 30 minutes a day, just going, do you know what, I'm doing this in work time and it's important to work. So if you're still struggling, then that becomes a vital thing to do at home. And then the learning office is key for new starters, so as they can get to see and feel the organisation, the people. One of the big things that I'm currently working on is about values. And if you've got a learning space, then you can feel an office values. Values aren't a poster on the wall. They are what people feel when they're in a building, in an environment, and in amongst the people it works with. So I think that's one of the big things that we can learn from the office. They help people understand systems, understand processes. So can we create an environment in the office where we've got that space to learn? The office for me is not dead. It's changing, but I maintain it has a role going forward. The space will evolve, but I think we'll start ending it up with more like little pods, whereas before it was just all one big bit, where the only real line was that of the kitchen. But now I think we want a space to work, we want a space to socialise, and we need a space to learn. And those are the 3 areas that I think going forward is what an office is going to look like. So I think if you do go back to your office, it's going to look and feel like a different place, but probably a better place. Now, how hot's it going to be? How hot's it going to be on Easter Sunday? Well, if it's going to beat the record, and I don't think it will, because I think today's the best day of the week, but the top temperature was 25.3. So Sam, you're certainly the closest. So 25.3. But maybe grab yourself a cup of tea and go out and enjoy the sun for the rest of the afternoon. Thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you next week when we're all full of Easter eggs. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a great day.